Hey guys, it's Mike here, bringing you a new segment today on Dragon Ball Z. Now this video is going to be dedicated to dispelling what I believe is one of the more annoying myths in Dragon Ball Z, and that is the myth of Broly's unlimited power. Now I believe it's best to start by explaining this particular theory. The theory proposes that due to Broly's legendary Super Saiyan form, combined with his unbridled rage, he can theoretically continue to get stronger and stronger as time progresses. Now the legendary Super Saiyan form is an offshoot of the normal Super Saiyan forms, which are demonstrated in the series proper, those being the base Super Saiyan, Ascended Super Saiyan, Ultra Super Saiyan, and the fully mastered form of Super Saiyan. And this is also, of course, not counting the Super Saiyan 2 or 3 transformations. Now, although we are unaware of the boost that the legendary Super Saiyan form grants a Super Saiyan, such as Broly, we know that it puts him vastly over fully mastered Super Saiyans, such as Goku and Gohan, as he effortlessly defeats them in this form. Now, this form is most similar to the Ultra Super Saiyan form, which Trunks demonstrates in his fight against Perfect Cell, which amps up his muscles to massive size. And much like that form, Broly does get a very large power increase, as well as large muscles. However, unlike that form, there seems to be no discernible loss in speed. Putting aside the sizable power increase, it is the continual increase in power that is in contention in this video. So where does this idea come from? Well, proponents of this idea look to dialogue from the legendary Super Saiyan Broly movie, specifically a particular part in which Broly is stating that his power is continuing to rise, making him stronger and stronger. However, if we look at this particular line of dialogue, I believe that it says something just a little bit different. Here's what it actually says. Now, as you see in the video, Broly does in fact say that his power is rising. However, he's quick to say that it's overflowing as well. This seems to directly imply that not only is his power becoming too great for him to control, but it also implies that he actually has a cap, which his body cannot naturally go beyond. Furthermore, the following event that takes place directly after he says this shows Broly flying up into the air and ejecting great amounts of excess ki from his body, which rains across the planet. So in this case, it would appear that this is not in fact what the movie is saying, and that Broly's power does in fact have a limit. So an alternate theory proposed by fans is that rather than Broly's power increasing without limit, it will rather, due to his rage, continue to replenish itself indefinitely, much like the androids, allowing him to fight at his highest power level without end. Now there are a couple of problems with this particular theory. One being that we know that Broly goes through strain due to his power, as demonstrated in the previous video, so it is likely that over time this causes wear and tear on his body. And unlike, say, the fully mastered Super Saiyan form, which Goku and Gohan worked on for nearly a year to get to the point where they can maintain it seamlessly throughout the day, Broly's legendary Super Saiyan form seems very unstable, and it's very unlikely that he would be able to maintain it for any long period of time. On top of this, if we look at Broly's dialogue one more time, as well as his death scene at the hands of Goku, it does appear that the movie implies that if Broly's power continues to rise, without him discharging it, he'll actually erupt and be destroyed by it. This harkens back to the story that Vegeta told of the original Super Saiyan, whose power was so great that it actually destroyed him. And naturally, since this is playing up the idea that Broly is the legendary Super Saiyan, that would tie in very well into this legendary Super Saiyan form and his own power. So going by both of these instances and both of these theories, it would appear that Broly does not really match up with either of them, and both of them can essentially be discounted. However, if we do wish to play devil's advocate with these theories and apply them to fights, as many fans have tended to do throughout the years, stating that Broly's continued and infinite rise in power would eventually allow him to defeat any character regardless of how powerful they may be, similar to the Incredible Hulk from Marvel Comics, we can put these theories to the test and demonstrate exactly why they don't work. In order to do this, we're going to be using a mathematic formula which will allow us to properly scale Broly's power, as well as powers which are greater than his own at different points in the series. Now first, it would probably be best to estimate Broly's power in his legendary Super Saiyan form. And to do that, we're going to use his last true appearance in the movies, which would be from Broly's Second Coming. Now, considering how Broly dominated a Super Saiyan 2 Gohan who had been weakened from 7 years of not training, and was then overpowered and killed by Gohan, a fully mastered Super Saiyan in Goku, a Super Saiyan likely around Frieza's level in Goten, and a base form Saiyan in Trunks, I think we could establish a range in which Broly's power can be placed, and rounding up, it would likely be that Broly is around the power of 2 Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohans. Now, for the purposes of this fight, and matching up Broly with a stronger fighter, we're going to pair him up with Super Saiyan 3 Goku from the Buu Saga. Now, going by the super exciting guides, a Super Saiyan 3 is 4 times stronger than a Super Saiyan 2. And although Goku was actually stronger than Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan in his own Super Saiyan 2 form when he fought against Vegeta, for the purposes of this fight, we're going to round down his power so that it's equal. So to put these powers in perspective numerically, Super Saiyan 3 Goku would be a 10, whereas Broly, being half his power, would be a 5. This is what we'll call starting strength. Next, we'll have to create an algorithm which will determine the rate of Broly's rising strength throughout the course of a fight. So to start, let's say that Broly's power jumps by 1 every minute, so that his power would be 6 after 1 minute and 7 after 2. After 5 minutes have elapsed, Broly would be equal in power to Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and after 6 he would surpass him. The problem with this is that 5 minutes in Dragon Ball Z is a very long period of time due to the speed that the characters move at. For example, the fight between Goku and Frieza in his max power form after he blasted Namek lasted less than 5 minutes. We know this because after 5 minutes, the planet exploded. This is also a great example of a fight because even though the gap between Goku and Frieza was far less than the gap between Goku and Broly in this example, whereas Goku's power level as a Super Saiyan was 150 million versus Frieza's max form being 120, or a 25% difference, Goku still thoroughly dominated his opponent. So using similar numerical values, Goku would be a 10 in this example, and Frieza would be a 7.5. And yet the disparity between the two's powers was still incredibly great up until Goku defeated him. A much better example of a similar power gap between two opponents in a fight would have to be Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan versus Perfect Cell. Now up until the point that Gohan transformed into a Super Saiyan 2, he was being totally dominated by Cell. However, due to a combination of his transformation and a rage boost by tapping into his true power, Gohan vastly surpassed Cell, and using the stated Super Saiyan 2 multiplier of 2 times, it is likely that Gohan became twice the power level of Cell during their fight. And if we look at their fight after Gohan transforms, the disparity between their power is so great that Gohan is able to effortlessly overpower Cell even when he's going at full power. In fact, due to just how powerful Gohan's punches and attacks were, if Gohan was actually trying, he likely would have been able to kill Cell in an instant. So considering the gap in power between Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Broly is equal to this, so we can conclude from this that Broly's rate of increase is far too slow in this example, considering that it would take 5 whole minutes for him just to rival Goku, and 6 for him to surpass Goku. So clearly for this fight, we're going to have to raise the rate of increase that Broly goes through during a fight. So now let's double the rate of increase to 1 per 30 seconds, or 2 per minute. This way, in 2.5 minutes, Broly will rival Goku's power, and in 3, surpass him. But again, the same problem arises that the disparity between the two is so great that 30 seconds essentially becomes an eternity, during which Goku can destroy Broly before he even gets a power-up. So now, let's go to even absurder levels just for the sake of Devil's Advocate, and try and raise his rate of increase one more time. In this new example, Broly's power will increase by 1 point every 10 seconds. So now, using this example, after 50 seconds, Broly's power will be equal to Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and after 1 minute, it will surpass him. But the problem here is still the starting strength. After all, the disparity between the two is still so great that even 1 minute is an extremely long period of time for the two to be fighting. After all, if Goku goes all out from the get-go and hits Broly with a full power Kamehameha, he'll obliterate him. So in my opinion, based upon all these different factors, it would appear that Broly would have to have a bare minimum increase rate of 1 point for every 5 seconds just to compete with Goku in his Super Saiyan 3 form. And with everything that we've seen from Broly in the movies, we know that this rate of increase is absurd at best. But even if we say that this is realistic, and apply it to this fight with Goku, and say that Broly can somehow defeat Goku, the possibility that Broly can defeat even more powerful opponents than Goku is immediately thrown out the window. For example, if we pair up Broly with the next strongest fighter in Gohan, this becomes even more apparent, as Gohan in his ultimate form is likely around twice the power of Super Saiyan 3 Goku, considering how well he did in his fight against Super Buu. Even with this dramatic increase in power that Broly has of 1 per 5 seconds, it would still take 3 times longer for him to match up to Gohan than it would for him to match up against Goku. So this would give Gohan nearly a minute and a half to do whatever he wants with Broly, which would likely include a brutal beating before he eventually finished him off. So this should definitely dispel the idea that Broly can get continually stronger against any opponent and eventually overcome them, akin to the Incredible Hulk. Although considering the number of times that the Incredible Hulk has been overpowered and defeated himself, this idea has never really rang true either. But what of the theories that Broly can perhaps grow powerful enough to attain all the other forms of Super Saiyan, such as Super Saiyan 3, and even 4, as portrayed in video games? Well, there's no reason to suspect that Broly could ever do any of these things. And although Broly does have the ability to turn into a regular Super Saiyan, as we have seen in both movies, there's no reason to suspect that he even knows that there's other forms beyond that, aside from his legendary Super Saiyan form. And even if he's aware of them, there's no reason to suspect that he's aware of how to unlock them. And this is perhaps the biggest reason as to why Vegeta is never able to go Super Saiyan 3, whereas Goku can. And we can definitely forget about the possibility of Broly becoming a Super Saiyan God, since it's expressly said that only someone pure of heart and good could ever become one, and certainly Broly does not fit either of those categories. So there you have it. I believe in this video I've demonstrated more than enough to show that Broly's power is vastly overrated by his fan base, and that he could never actually measure up to a number of characters that grow vastly beyond him in power. Any opportunity that he would have would be quickly nipped in the bud, as he would be defeated just as easily as another weaker opponent. Broly is a character that could have been so much more than he ended up being. Unfortunately, due to poor execution and writing by Toei, he ended up being much worse. And perhaps even then, the most shallow and pointless villain in the history of the series, with the least motivation whatsoever to be involved in this story. Well, my name is Mike, and this has been a video detailing Dragon Ball Z. Let me know your own thoughts in the comments section, and what topics you would like me to talk about in the future. Also, please take the time to subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future. And you better subscribe!